So, for those of you who haven't seen this before, are new to us, to Nordic Dog Trainer, I'm Lisbeth. I'm the founder of Nordic Education Center for Dog Trainers. And tonight I have Lill Kvam with me. Hi, Lill.
Hello.
And we are both in Norway. Okay, so tonight I've invited Lill Kvam. She's one of our teachers. Actually, in level 1, you have a lesson about nose or mental activities. We just agreed earlier today that we should stop saying nose work because it used to be a term for all activities with their nose, right? But now nose work is also a kind of a sport, which is registered, isn't it? I don't know if it's like that in all countries, but in Norway, the word nose work is not allowed to be used for anything else but a specific kind of competition sport, probably. Am I right, Lill?
Yeah, I think it's difficult for them if somebody else uses the word. It's difficult for them to sue you, but it is protected. It's registered. So nose work means a very special type of dog sport, yes, which is based on scent discrimination.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and use the term mental activities. Anyhow. Okay. Lill, you are an author. You've been working as a dog trainer for almost 30 years.
Imagine.
You have a dog trainer education currently in Taiwan and starting up in Mexico. So if you want to learn more from her, you should sign up for one of her dog trainer schools in Taiwan if you live nearby in Asia or in Mexico. Or you can also see more of Lill at our online courses. So I want to talk about your book, the wonderful, sorry, now I forgot, the wonderful scent of smell? No, fabulous, sorry. Fabulous, a dog's fabulous sense of smell. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So why did you write that book, Lill?
I wrote it because when I started traveling around basically mostly in Europe, giving courses about sniffer games, everybody would ask, but isn't there a book? Can we buy a book? Can't we find these descriptions in any books? And there was no book available. I started this in 2000 after I came home from living in Angola, where I trained dogs for finding landmines. So, and there was more and more questions, and after a while people started to say, but why don't you write that book? Because we need that book. And then I did. Eventually I did. So I think it was in 2005 it was first published. Actually, it was first published in German.
Oh.
And then a few months later in Norwegian, and then many languages. The first version of this book. I have, for example, this one.
Mm-hmm. What language is that? Do you know?
From Czech Republic.
Czech, yeah.
Russia, or where is my camera? Russia is this one.
Perfect.
Yeah. And this is the old Norwegian book.
Mm-hmm.
The new Norwegian book.
Yeah.
And it's in German, and it is in Chinese, and it's in Polish, and
what about Spanish?
Yeah, it is in Spanish
and
French? Italian. French, no. Maybe will come.
So what's in the book?
What's in the book? In the book this book is full of descriptions, recipes of different types of sniffer games that you can play with your dog. And the book is aiming at anybody, all kinds of dog owners. You don't need to be professional or having any special skills. You just need to be willing to have some fun with your dog. And the easiest is to search for treats inside your house. You can sit in your armchair in front of your TV and throw treats around in the house, and your dog can search for it. That's the cheapest version, I think. And that is nose work. That is sniffer games, to search for treats. It is, I think it's one of the most basic things a dog can do, is to use his own inbuilt best capabilities to search for something edible.
And thankfully, the last, don't you agree, on a little that the last few years especially, there is so much more written and so much more information about how important this is. Only 10 years ago, we weren't talking about that the same way we are today. So
it's something else. And when I first tried to get Dogwise to publish my book in US, that was in, I think, 2007 or something. They didn't understand. They said, no, nobody would be curious. This is not interesting. But then we managed to convince them, and the world has opened up their eyes and their heart for sniffer games with dogs. It's getting so more popular, and I see more and more people giving courses in it. And there are other books and pamphlets and websites, and it is fantastic. The world is kind of a shift in a way to have a dog, to start to do these nose work things, sniffer games with dogs.
What's in it for me, Anna-Lill, as a dog owner? Why would I be bothered to do this with my dog? I know I'm asking the very basic questions.
Yeah, but it is the best question. Why should I? And there is a long list of questions. The first answer is, it is fun. It's fun for the dog, of course, but in many cases, it's also fun for the owner, because when we love our dog, at least me, I love my dog, and then it warms my heart when I can see that she does something she loves. So that's it, and it is meaning of life for our dogs. They are born with some gifts about how to sniff and find important things for them. So it's really the meaning of life, to search and find things. And what is interesting is that science has proven that humans, as well as dogs, we feel so much more stimulated when we are searching for things compared to when we find it. Of course, dogs and humans are happy to find, but we are happier to search. And I find that very,
humans
very...
as well.
Yes, and horses. They tested it also on horses. They connect these things to your brain so they can read activity in your brain, and they can see how much you feel stimulated. And search.
So the main purpose is to do the search, and I mean the main what gives them the most pleasure is the actual search, not to find, even though it's a huge treat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The search is the first gift, and the find is the second gift that you give to your dog.
Anna-Lill, can you repeat what you said on the Norwegian live that we just had? You were explaining very simple step by step on how to teach your dog to find, for example, a teddy bear inside. How do you start? If you have a puppy or a senior dog, any kind of age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can play it indoors, which is wonderful for a rainy day. And when you want to teach your dog to find a hidden teddy bear, your best pick is to pick your dog's absolutely favorite toy. And if he doesn't have a favorite toy, maybe he likes to steal one of your shoes or socks, then you pick that one. The point is that the object you choose for the very beginning should be something that has value in the point of your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of your children's toys, whatever, so that when the dog finds it, she will be happy. And then what I do is that if the dog can do a stay, I will ask the dog to stay, and if not, I will use a leash or a barrier, or have somebody to help me to hold the dog. And then first time I will show this to the dog so that she can almost catch it with her mouth, but unsuccessfully. And then I will walk 1 or 1.5 meters away and hide it behind a chair. And I will make sure that maybe a little bit of the teddy is sticking out, visible. And then immediately, quick as you can, release the dog to go and find the hidden teddy bear and join the party when he finds it. Wow, good boy. And play a little bit. That's the beginning.
Yeah, so the dog is able to see you go and put it somewhere, and even part of the teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you had success, if he managed to find it, then of course, this is now when you start to make it a little bit more difficult for every success you have. So now, next time you hide it one more time, you tell your dog to stay, or you have a helper or whatever, then you go and hide it and you walk a little bit longer and you hide it more invisible. And then hurry back and release the dog to go and find it and join the party. When he finds it, you have to tell the dog that he is the winner of the biggest lottery.
And how do you do that? Do you have to give a lot of treats? How do you reward the dog? Does that have anything to?
You have to ask your dog. But basically, I will keep the treats in my pocket in the beginning. I will play a little bit with the toy. So I wanted the toy to be in the focus here. So the dog finds the toy, bites it. I come there and I pull very gently, very softly, playing a little bit, and then I will exchange the toy with a treat, like to finalize the whole thing. And then I will play it again. And depending on how easily aroused your dog is, you can do this 2, 3, maximum 5 times on a row, because he will be winding up more and more.
Yeah, when do you stop, Anna-Lill? When is a good time to stop?
When you think your dog has done it perfect, when you think, wow, you are good, that's when you stop. And unfortunately, the typically human reaction to that, wow, this was fantastic, we want more. That's the human. But no, when you feel that, wow, I want more, that's when you stop. Because then also your dog wants more, and that's what he will remember. You don't want to put too much stress into this game. You just want pleasure and joy in it. So better short sessions, but you can do it 2 or 3 times in a day, depending on what time you have available.
And then when you advance this, you can put a name to it. When should you put a name to the toy? Because dogs, they can find many different things. We can teach them many different names, right?
Yeah, for example, that's one way you can play this game, to give each toy a name. And then in the beginning you have Teddy, and then you say Teddy. After you have done it once or twice and you see that your dog really does it, that's when you can start giving this game a name, or this toy a name. Then you will say Teddy when you release the dog to go and do it. And then you can go, and then when the dog has been good at finding it, you will be better at hiding it. So it will be competition between you and the dog. So that it's always a little challenge, but in the beginning, you always have to guarantee success also for your dog.
So when, I'm sorry for these questions, but I'm interested as well, because I keep forgetting. So when can you go and hide the toy without the dog watching you where you're hiding it?
When you have done it a few times, giving the dog the name when you release the dog, I will try to have the dog in another room and hide the toy and bring the dog. And this time it must be ridiculously easy. Then to test the cue, to say the word, and then release the dog. And if he then starts looking around for the toy, then he understands.
So you can actually put the toy literally on the floor in your living room while the dog is in the kitchen, and you open the door to the living room. The toy is there, and he will go to it. You will say, yes, Teddy, good.
Yeah, that you can do. And this is the recipe if you want to teach him different names for different toys. But another game, the game I normally play, is more simple. I just call it a square search, where I can imagine that I have an area where there are several objects, and then I don't use the name of the toy. I just use the name of the game. I will typically call it square, which in Norwegian sounds like felt. And then I start first by hiding the favorite toys, and then gradually, when the dog likes the game and I get better and better in hiding it, and the dog gets better and better in finding it, I will start vary what I hide gradually, and eventually I can hide all kinds of things, and he will find them.
That's great when it comes to gloves and socks and yeah.
If you lose your keys, if you have been out for a walk and you've lost your keys, you can ask your dog to search for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why treat search is a good thing to start with, because that gives you a quick fix in a way. You see the result there and then, and it's actually one of the most calming and satisfying games you can play with a dog, is to hide treats around, either indoors or outdoors. It doesn't really matter. And this is a very easy game. Even children, you can get your children to do it, and the dog will love to go and find what the children has hidden. And also, but tracking is my other favorite. Treat search and tracking, these are my favorites. But tracking requires much more work. You have to prepare things. So then the easier things are the square search, when you hide objects, but also another game which I call Lost Retrieve. It's a gift because most people will take the dog for a walk at least once a day. And then you teach your dog that he can backtrack you and pick up whatever you have lost on your walk. And that could be a good thing for impatient owners. But of course, this will require that the dog is willing to retrieve. But you will be able to get most dogs to retrieve if you start with something that the dog likes to bite on, and then generalize it slowly.
And I also want to add that you're saying that the dog owners want quick results. I don't think of anything that can give quicker results than actually doing more mental activities and slow down on the walks. These two things are doing wonders for dogs with behavior problems, fear-based or aggression, whatever. These two things that is the quick fix.
That's true.
Quickest fix that we can do. Not a quick fix, but the quickest.
Yeah.
Don't like the word fix, but
I've had my students in China and Taiwan, especially, they have reported back when I introduced search games for them. They would try this with their own dogs and also with their clients' dogs. And their reports back was that separation anxiety and fearfulness for sounds and also aggressive behavior would either vanish or be remarkably reduced after a short time of doing some sort of sniffer games every day. Not much, just a little bit.
It really is unbelievable, and that's why we say it's I don't know, there's probably many reasons why they get less. It's a stress reducing activity. Maybe it's doing something to repair the relationship with the owner. I don't know. More cooperation. They feel more relaxed. I don't know. It's all of these things that makes this thing happen, that they get more self-confidence and be less insecure. Don't you think, Anna-Lill? What do you think?
All of that. Everything you mentioned is that, because this is searching for something, whatever it is, something to eat or a friend or a place to sleep or whatever, is what dogs are born with the capability to do this, and when we ask them to do some search game with us, we are giving them the opportunity to do what they are made for. It's meaning of life for them. So it gives them, they feel so much more content and happy in the world when they are allowed to do this. So it's really a win-win-win.
Yeah. So Anneli, the question is, and the answer is, there are so many different things you can do with nose work. Sorry, with their nose, sense of smell. Can you just, I'm so fascinated by the fact, I think it's in the first chapter in your book where you explain the sense of smell on a beach. Can you explain that so everyone can hear it? Because this means that you can just, what she just told you was teddy bear, but you can make this so much more difficult. We know we have dogs sniffing for COVID, for cancer, for money, for everything. So it's not a problem to make it more difficult. So what's the sense of smell on a beach?
There were some laboratory tests. There's a company I worked with when I was working with landmine detection dogs. And they had in laboratory tests verified that dogs could find solutions of smell which was as much as 10 to the power of minus 18. That means 0, comma, and then 18 zeros. Which means that you can compare it to a beach which is 50 meters wide and 500 meters long and 50 meters wide and half meter deep. And their dog will be able to find 1 or 2 grains of sands that smell different.
Grains?
It's
crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. They can smell a beach-on heat from 4 kilometers away.
Well, there you have the answer to a lot of problems.
A lot of questions answered by that.
And how about, when they find tracks of people or people who have been,
lost people.
Yeah, or dead people even, the police are taking the dogs there. I didn't want to bring that up because it's kind of a sensitive, that was maybe not the best example, but blood and blood. They clean the blood away with chlorine and any kind of detergent, strong detergents, but they can still smell it, right?
They can. And they can, the police are training dogs to sniff on the surface to verify whether or not there has been a dead body there. And I know one case where a dog sniffed on an area and marked it as positive, and they knew that the dead body had been removed from there 1 year ago.
No, it's like I can't believe it. I just can't comprehend. Is it really? So
and that's where we are. The limitations for what we can use the dog's nose for remains in the human brain because we don't really. But it starts now. People are waking up now. Dogs can sniff, and they can sniff almost anything.
And we are impatient when we're walking our dogs and, hey, come on, be finished. Can you imagine what kind of smell they find in one place without walking? They know who's been there, what they've been eating, what kind of mood they are in, what kind of, everything.
They do. They can smell from a footprint whether it was a moose or a deer or a human or a bicycle. And age and health.
Good detectives. They should be detectives.
Yeah, but there is an Austrian detective series which is called Kommissar Rex.
Yeah.
There's a German shepherd.
I love it. Yeah.
It's fantastic. I simply love it. And he does the most fantastic things. And dogs can do all the things I've seen Rex do is possible. You just have to train properly. Dogs can do marvelous things.
My dog not at all interested in toys or objects of any kind. Any tips?
A very good question. And the question has 2 answers. The simple, easy answer is maybe just stick to what she likes. But I would invite you to try to get to open her eyes to other parts of the world too. So what I would try if to teach her to be more interested in other objects was maybe start with an object which contains food, like a pencil case or an old sock, and you put food inside it and you hide it, and when the dog finds it, you have to rush over there, of course, to help her open it before she opens it herself. And through that, you may gradually, maybe the first few times she finds it, there is food inside, but then gradually there is no food inside. You have the food. So when he finds that special thing and brings it to you, you have a lot of food. That is the aim. And then gradually, you can generalize this from one sock or one pencil case until different sorts of things.
Yeah, good tip.
Mm.
Okay, finally, let's talk about treat search, because a lot of people are doing treat search. It's an easy and nice way of doing some mental activity.
Mm.
But there are many different ways of doing a treat search. And I've seen people, and I've done different ways as well. So should you throw out one by one piece of the treats, like, or should you throw everything at once? Should the dog see you throwing it, or how does this, what's the best way to do it for the dog, obviously?
Yeah, I think for the dog and also for the owner, I think the best way of doing it is to avoid that version where you toss one and one treat and the dog is running between them. That only stress your dog. So what I do is that I teach my dog slowly to search for treats on a special cue. I will say treats in Norwegian. And then I will squat down next to my dog and hold her, and maybe first toss only one or two just in front of her nose and let her go.
This
Couple
is
of times.
just when you're teaching her to do it.
When I start teaching it, yes. And let her go. And when I verify that once I let the dog go, she will go for the treats, I will put the name of the game. So I toss a few treats in front of her and I let her go. And the moment I let her go, I say treats. And repeat that 3 times, and she probably learns that word. And then I will maybe toss more and more treats, longer and longer away, with more and more distance between each treat, whilst holding the dog, waiting until the last treat has landed before I release my dog. That way, you get a dog who will concentrate and be calm and intense in the search, instead of running desperately from treat to treat. And then, when you cannot toss long enough anymore, you get your dog to do a stay, and you can walk around throwing treats left and right, and go back to your dog and release her and say, treats are yours. And it can be quite a big area when your dog is skilled in this, and it can take a long time for her to find them all. And then your dog will be satisfied for a long while after that.
And what about if you want to add some treats? You thought, oh, are you finished already? Can you just throw more treats while the dog is searching for treats, and you think, oh, he's really good at this, I keep adding?
Yeah.
How about that?
No, I'm not so fond of that, because I think that dogs have a system. They know in their head that I've searched here and now I'm here. And then when I start tossing treats in the area where he has already searched, I think maybe I can confuse him. So I will rather learn when I observe the way he's searching my prepared treat search. I will learn that, I had too few or too many, or I should have made the area bigger or smaller. Just learn, and rather, instead of adding treats into the ongoing search, I will make a new one immediately after. And of course, be aware, because some dogs, particularly the hungry ones, the Labradors and such, they can be too stressed by watching the food walking away. So maybe you need to teach your dog the name of this game very quickly, so that your dog can wait inside or wait in the kitchen whilst you prepare the task. And then you come and invite your dog and point forward and say, here your treat search, vær så god.
But that's a good point, Anna-Lill. Too hungry. We should not. How about? Oh, I kind of answered the question. How about using the dog's food as treat search?
Yeah, no. I absolutely don't recommend it, because the theory behind this is that it's good for the dog to work for his food. But when there is too much work for too little proteins, the dogs get the instinctive feeling that food is a scarce resource, and this may cause stress. So I would say serve the main course in the dish and save the dessert for the search. So that just a little part of the food is something he has to work for. The food should be given for free.
So there are two consequences. Actually, the dog can be more aggressive around food if it feels that it's a scarcity, and also the frustration it makes when you have to, if you're really hungry and you get a bowl of soup and a fork.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
kind of good comparison.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you are getting a bit frustrated. Or at least I would get very frustrated.
Me too.
So that's a nice way. So remember, give the main dish and then that's the dessert. Yeah. So never do a treat search on an empty stomach.
No, and that is also not only treat search, but any training with your dog which involves treats. I would never do that on a hungry dog. I would do it with a dog who is in balance, not immediately after or before meal. I know many animal dog trainers still say you have to come with a hungry dog, but I say no, because a hungry dog will be too desperate.
And it's difficult to concentrate on doing what you're asking him if he's hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, so referring to the sock earlier with the treat, why should the dog not open the sock to get the treat?
Well, he can, but what I didn't say was that my intention with this game would be to point towards a retrieve. And then I want to teach the dog that he has to bring the sock to me because I am the only one who can open it. So if you want the treats, you need my help. But of course, if you don't care about that, if that's not an issue, don't worry, let him open it. That's half of the fun. And then you can even hide it have the food hidden in a toilet roll or in newspaper, or which will be part of the fun to open it.
And that's kind of, that was a nice way to finish off our little chat. But the thing is that unless you're training a police dog or any kind of working dog, and we're not talking to you about police dogs or working dogs, we're talking to you about family dogs, it's not really important what, how, and when, as long as you're having fun. You, as long as the dog is having fun, obviously, not only the owner, and yeah, fun, and he likes it. That's the main purpose of doing this, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely.
The last comment: some dogs are very smart and they seek out systematically, even when you put out the treats on a new place. If you let them wait out of sight, then they first go to the place where they found something last time.
Yeah, they do. Always. And that's why you don't hide it on the same spot more than once. You always have to pick a new spot. And the dog will, in the beginning, go to spot number 1, spot number 2, spot number 3, spot number 4. But then eventually they will give up and start searching instead of checking up on the previous spots.
Yeah. That's a very smart way of doing it. And that's how they have to be smart to survive. Yeah. So to minimize the use of excess energy on as a waste, they're doing that. Yeah. Okay. So go and buy the Fabulous Sense. Was I right now?
Very good. The dog's fabulous sense of smell.
And I know that you can get it as an ebook on Dogwise and
Yes.
probably other places as well. We
Yeah.
love ebooks now. It's really
We do.
good.
We do.
It's a step-by-step guide to this and more games like this.
Yeah, thank you for saying, because that's what I've written in the initial chapter of the book, that this is recipes. And what you do with a recipe, for example, for the recipe for a cake, the first few times you follow it, but then you start to change it to your liking. And that's what you do with the recipes also in this book. You and your dog will find your own way.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, Wilma wants food now. She wants food or treat search, I'm not sure. But food first and then treat search
Exactly.
as a dessert.
Give
So
both.
thank you very much, Anneli. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.